Hello friends, today was supposed to be a video about how I finished fixing this bike. This was gonna be today's release, but unfortunately it's getting no spark and I don't know why. So we're gonna put this aside and go over just a little overview of what else we have going on today. Some of you will be happy to see that the Silverado is getting some love. Currently in the process of taking the heads off so that I can do the lifters and camshaft and blah blah blah. Also gonna be a dedicated video, maybe even the next one. Now, as promised, I was gonna let you know what the B8.5 S4 sells for, which it did, so let's get to that. In general, I'm happy to say that we've had a pretty good September. It is currently October 7th, and yeah, the September was my most successful month so far. Which is great because, as some of you might know, I am currently on the deferred resignation program through the federal government, meaning that at the end of September is when I stopped getting paid for resigning when all of the Department of Government Efficiency was going down. So the S4, I mean, this thing needed a ridiculous amount of work. I spent, I don't know, hundreds of hours on this car, so this probably wasn't the most profitable car, but what really matters is that I did make a profit, and it's pretty significant. I made $3,700 on the S4 after spending $4,600 on the car itself with like the fees and shipping and everything. I then spent $4,200 on all of the parts and all of the services that the car required, which is a lot. The major piece of that was the bodywork. But what's really important is that if it wasn't for the parts S4, whose video is doing way better than the original S4's video, it's worth noting that if it wasn't for the parts car, it would have been a lot more expensive too. So just keep that in mind. I would have spent probably closer to $7,000 if I hadn't bought the parts car and parted that out, whatever I didn't need. That was a very good call. I'm very glad I did that. We did manage to get the parts car for pretty cheap. So altogether I had spent $8,800 on rebuilding that S4, and in the end it was a very, very good condition S4. I think it turned out really well. And I sold it for $12,500 after having it listed for a few weeks. It got a lot of traction on the marketplace, but nobody that actually followed through until a gentleman that was really pleasant to work with came down from somewhere else in Wisconsin and bought it for $12,500. Now, as I mentioned, September was a really good month, and that is because besides making the $3,700 on the S4, I also made $4,000 on the Hyundai Sonata, which we replaced the engine in, and I also made almost $3,500 on the Honda Accord Hybrid. That was a repossession that needed basically no work. We cleaned it, did an oil change, changed the battery, and that was pretty much it. The car was good to go. So long story short, September turned out to be like a $10,000 in profit kind of month, which is awesome. But for example, in August, I made negative $500 because I was gone for half a month on a vacation, and the first half a month, I didn't really sell anything. So this is a very come and go kind of business. It is not very stable, but on average, I seem to be making what I need to make to survive and to match the income I was making as a civil engineer whatever amount of time ago, 7 months back. Now, having made that money and having freed up the funds from the S4, I made a lot of purchases, and it's kind of sad to admit, but none of them are interesting. It's all very sellable, very daily kind of traffic cars that sell easy, and that's just kind of what I have to do. So for now, unfortunately, we don't have anything super cool in the works, but I'm sure we'll get there. We do have an automatic Miata MX-5 that Volvo decided to purchase. Needed some front end work, nothing significant, just bumpers, radiators, stuff like that. Haven't driven it yet, so it'll be interesting to see how this thing does. Next, we did just pick up this Chevy Cruze yesterday. Has been rebuilt in the past, as you can see by our bumper fitment over here. The majority of the damages are over here in the rear end. We have a little bit of a rear quarter panel damage as well as a taillight. This is gonna be a pretty quick repair. I'm not gonna put in too much effort into it. We're just gonna try and straighten it out to the best of our ability. It's gonna be a pretty affordable little car, so I'm not putting too much effort into it. You guys might remember Volvo's A3. That is currently getting a turbo. It had been listed for sale for a while, and then as we kept driving it around, it started getting into the loop mode due to the wastegate actuator having worn out the linkage in the turbo. So basically we're replacing a turbo with a low mileage used one. No updates with my S4, that keeps getting driven around daily. The parts TT is just sitting around. We'll get to it eventually when, I don't know when. At some point I will get to it when I have time. No updates with the silver SQ5. This is gonna need a lot of work. It's just taking the backseat for another while. Here are two purchases that I had made after selling this S4. This is basically what we invested that money into. This Traverse had a little bit of damages on the bumper here, had a busted headlight. We replaced that all with the headlight off of that car, which also needs to get rebuilt, but luckily it had a good right side, so all of that is getting this car fixed. This is gonna go for sale very soon as I align our hood, because that is currently not sitting very well. And we'll need to take off the clear bra, because that just kind of looks bad. No updates with the Tiguan. I did take it apart to try and figure out what's going on with the engine, and I did find out that the engine is absolutely done for. I mean, we have metal shavings inside the cylinder. When I stick a scope inside the cylinder, we literally have just a bunch of carnage in there. No bueno for that motor, and we're currently in the market for a new one. The diesel got lifted. I didn't record it, I'm sorry, but yes, we now have oversized tires, as well as a 40mm lift on the diesel, as well as OEM struts on the back, which do let it sit higher because the front, I think, has aftermarket softer suspension, which is why it was looking a lot lower than most other Q7s used to. You might remember when I bought this diesel at Q7, I had noticed that it was sitting lower than it should be, and yeah, turned out that it just has all 4 shocks that are aftermarket, and all of them were just sitting far too low for what this car should be sitting as. And I did keep that same strut in the front because whatever, I'm lifting the car anyway, and I like the idea of having stiffer suspension in the back because that allows us to haul more weight without squatting. And as you can see, I mean, I'm definitely using this thing for towing, like this Traverse that is not even fitting on the trailer. I have no idea how we're gonna get it out. Copart loaded it with a forklift. We might have to take the wheels off and push it off on a jack or something, because this is not gonna be easy. Okay, now let's get to the cars that we have for sale. The good news is that I do have quite a bit of inventory ready for sale that is sitting right here. This Honda, didn't record anything about it, needed absolutely nothing. This was also repossession, just did some cleaning, and that's it. We just posted it up. Drives perfectly fine. Oh, I had to change the brake light bulb. That's the extent of the work we needed to do on this, which is great. Going for sale really quickly, should be selling quick. These cars are movers. The Q5, the 3.0 supercharged Q5, not selling. I'm sad, but for whatever reason it is not selling. It is already at like $8,900. Mind you, initially I had it listed for almost 10. So yeah, I don't know why. I guess people are not in the market for these, or maybe because they're looking up other Q5s that have the 2.0 engine in them. They're seeing that those are significantly cheaper, but this thing is definitely worth the almost $9,000 that it's listed for. It just, I guess, a matter of finding the right buyer. Believe it or not, the SQ5 that has pretty much the same drivetrain has been getting a lot more attention, despite the fact that it is listed for $6,000 more. But I guess that's what happens when you have a flasher, diamond stitch sports seats, beautiful SQ5. That interior really does gather a lot of attention, so gotta give them that. The TT had a couple of potential customers, nobody that followed through. We are in the middle of fall, so the convertible weather is coming to an end. I will not be super surprised if that ends up having to stick around until mid-spring, because yeah, I mean, who's gonna buy a front-wheel drive convertible in Wisconsin in the middle of October? In the meantime, it's just being a magnet for all the little puffy, whatever these things are called, that float in the air and spread seeds. That about sums up all we have going on here, which I know isn't exactly what you would normally see on this channel, but I hope you enjoyed getting a little walkthrough. Yeah, we have a lot of Chevys, we have a Honda. I mean, that stuff just sells way too easy compared to Audis. As I mentioned, I really have to make it now. There's no more DRP going on, so I really do need to hammer down and focus on the cars that sell rather than cars that I am interested in and can make YouTube videos, because unfortunately YouTube doesn't pay enough to justify buying stuff that is fun but hard to sell. Oh yeah, we did forget one car, and that is Volvo's Range Rover. It's not here because Volvo is currently daily driving it, but did list it for sale for $12,700. And no, I did not fix the hydraulic suspension issue, because that is just a ridiculous amount of work. I am not willing to put myself through that. As much as I would like to make a video for you guys, that job would take me like days, and it's just not worth it because it will also be a very boring video. It is not interesting content. I know there's some people who would be like very happy to see that, but the majority of the public doesn't really care. So between the parts cost and labor cost, just not a feasible solution. We're listing that Range Rover without that system working. Luckily, everything else seems to work great. It drives great. We've towed a boat with it. It's been doing good. So we're confident enough listing it. It actually has been getting a decent amount of interest on Facebook, so we'll see. Maybe somebody's gonna pick it up. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the update. I will see you in the next week's video.